But our top story tonight, the Supreme Court on Thursday took up the petitions challenging the special revision of voter list in Bihar. The court asked many questions, made some suggestions during the hearing, but it allowed the Election Commission then to carry on with the exercise. Many of those questions come at the heart of democracy in the country. Can the Election Commission take a citizenship test through a special revision? What was the urgency, the hurry, the timing? At the same time, the Election Commission maintains it has full powers to start a revision process of the electoral rolls just months ahead of the crucial Bihar polls. Here is a report by Anisha Mathur on a major Supreme Court hearing.
The Supreme Court asked pointed questions, made suggestions, but did not order any stay on the special intensive revision of the voter list being carried out by the Election Commission in Bihar. The two-judge bench of Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia and Justice Joy Malia Bagchi took up the petitions filed against the electoral roll revision on Thursday. The court asked if the Election Commission has the powers to conduct a citizenship exercise. The bench said it was not questioning the authority of Election Commission to revise voter lists. The judges asked if there is enough time for the extensive exercise and if documents like Aadhaar, ration card, voter ID card can be included. The court wanted to know how the Election Commission will ensure due process and give a hearing to those excluded from the list. It also asked why not de-link the SIR exercise from the Bihar Assembly elections, giving a longer timeline for the revision and suggested that the draft rolls may not be published for now. The Election Commission vehemently opposed all suggestions. The court made many observations. During the hearing, Justice Dhulia said, "Who has documents in this document-starved country? Even I won't have birth certificate." The court said the Home Ministry deals with citizenship proof. It added that a disenfranchised person will be compelled to enter into rigmarole of providing citizenship. The court observed that once the electoral rolls are finalized and the elections notified, no court will touch the petition of someone removed from the electoral rolls. The petitioners argued the exercise will affect the poor and marginalized. The law doesn't allow removal from voter list without detailed objections and hearing. They claimed the Election Commission is forcing voters to prove rights while the law calls for the state or an objector to give proof. The petitioners said an en masse disenfranchisement can't be allowed and that the government's own data showed that the most people don't have birth or school documents.
On the ground, the situation was very different because the insistence was on to produce one of these 11 documents. And with the data that is coming from Bihar, large number of people did not really have those kind of documents. So even though the SIR itself has not been stayed, but the basis on which we were saying that a large number of people could be excluded, that basis has today been to a large extent effaced by the Supreme Court.
The Election Commission opposed the petitions. It said that almost 60% forms are already in and officers are going door to door. The poll body reiterated Aadhaar is not proof of citizenship. It is looking at citizenship, identity, age and residence. There is no intent to deprive people of their right to vote and claimed that the Commission has power to revise voter lists. It assured that nobody will be deleted without hearing and due process.
MPs are filing their petition, like Mr. Jha is MP of RJD, he is filing the petition here. But his political party has appointed 35,000 BLAs. So inappropriate, and I said to the court that I am seriously objecting to the maintainability of this petition for the reasons. Now the court has asked the Election Commission to consider certain documents. The Commission will take an appropriate view on that.
The court noting that it is the responsibility of the EC to conduct regular revisions, but also adding that there cannot be large-scale disenfranchisement of voters and that voters' rights and the roots of democracy must be preserved. With all of these questions and concerns, the hope is that on July 28th, the EC will return to the Supreme Court with some answers. In New Delhi, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
What, therefore, are the constitutional issues at the heart of this major court hearing? Joining me now is Anisha Mathur, who covers the Supreme Court for us, and Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court. I'll come to you, Mr. Singh, in a moment, but Anisha, you were in the court. What is the central argument in this case? Why has this case become such a possibly landmark case?
Well, Rajdeep, the basic questions that are being asked, whether it's by the petitioners or by the Supreme Court, are threefold. One, does the ECI have the power to conduct what is effectively a citizenship exercise? What happens if somebody is kicked off the electoral rolls? Is there a procedure and timing available for them to undergo that procedure and redressal? Thirdly, what the court has said is that the timeline that is there, since this is been linked to the Bihar elections, can you actually conduct the revision exercise and allow time for people to file their objections and file an appeal if they are kicked off the voter list? And therefore, the suggestion that had come from the Supreme Court is that, well, you can delink the process, the SIR process from the Bihar election. That will give you time to conduct a thorough revision. Otherwise, the court also suggested that, well, you've given a list of 11 documents, which according to the EC itself is not an exhaustive list. There are other documents that could be considered. And that is why the court said, well, you can consider adding Aadhaar, voter card and ration card to that list for verification. So we'll have to see what the EC has to say now on July 28th, because questions about powers, about timeline, about verification process have been asked by the court. And the issue is also whether the court will ask for delinking or suggest delinking this process, or the court will suggest that the rolls should not be finalized or published. Those are big questions that we'll see what happens.
At the heart of that are the powers of the Election Commission and the rights of individuals, the voting rights of individuals. Vikas Singh, on a constitutional question, Mr. Singh, what do you believe is at stake in this verdict or in this hearing?
So if you ask me, Rajdeep, the main issue, in my view, is the timing. And nobody can deny the right of the Election Commission to revise the electoral roll on a regular basis. But to do it in this manner and do it just before the election is about to start is something which cannot be justified. I will tell you why. Whenever the bureaucratic exercise of this kind on such a large scale starts, it is impossible to ensure fairness in the exercise. You know, small people, small voters, marginalized voters, if they are not able to, give documents, or if they have some difficulty in providing a particular document vis-a-vis the other document, to disenfranchise them for this election will be a very, very, I would say, huge illegality. If you have been a voter for all these years, to suddenly say that we'll do this exercise in a month before the election, I don't think it can be justified at all. If you want to do it...
You're raising an important point, because 2003, those registered on electoral rolls after 2003 are the ones expected to supply these documents. Since 2003, 5 state elections and 5 general elections have been held in Bihar. You're saying that if someone has voted in this election, you cannot suddenly tell him you can't vote in this election because you don't have these documents. Am I correct? That, you believe, in a way, negates the right that an individual has to vote. What if that, according to the Election Commission, they are trying to purify the electoral rolls, remove all the so-called non-citizens?
So, firstly, Rajdeep, that is not an exercise which the Election Commission has the power to do. As far as determining who is a citizen or who's not a citizen, this is something purely within the remit of the Home Ministry. And it is not a Home Ministry exercise. Now, you have conducted so many elections since 2003, and you can't say, if you had been doing this exercise since 2003, and you had been trying to weed out people who are, not genuine voters on the basis of a rational, exercise conducted over a period of time, nobody would have questioned you. But if you start this exercise just before an election, whatever be the purpose, Nobody can say that this purpose will be sanguine, because it's not as if, the voters who will be ultimately left out will be actually voting for A political party or B political party. Everybody will be left out. The point is that a right to exercise your franchise will be taken away regardless of who will benefit in this exercise. It's not a question of election commission trying to favor anybody or not trying to favor anybody. But the larger question is that this exercise will result in,
Yes.
depriving a huge section of the Bihar electorate from the right to franchise, and in this hurried manner, which can never be justified. So I don't think this exercise can be, if they want to continue this exercise or go on with this exercise without linking it to the election, I don't think anybody can fault their
Right.
voting of doing it. But if you want to do it for this election, I don't think it can be under any circumstances justified to a hurried exercise of such a large scale, where every voter
Right.
will have to prove all his documents. We are dealing with migrant laborers, who may not be living in that state, who may have to come for this exercise to that state. And when they give a particular document, and if they are finding their name not to be in the voter list, they'll have to come back again from wherever they are working. Now, if you imagine a migrant worker from Delhi goes to give his original document and he finds his name not there, and again to go back again from Delhi or from Gujarat or from Jammu and Kashmir where he is working to prove his, bona fides of being a proper, genuine electorate or
Right.
exercise his franchise will be completely unjustified. So I don't think this
I'm-
exercise.
I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it there, Vikas Singh, because I think you've given us the practical difficulties. There are certain constitutional issues also, which will be, of course, debated in the court. But the practical difficulties at the moment seem to overwhelm all else. Remember, these are monsoon months, and to expect every migrant labor of Bihar to be going back, supplying the documents will not be an easy exercise. But what will the Supreme Court say? We'll wait till the 29th of July. Anisha Mathur and Vikas Singh ji for joining me. Thank you so much. Let me actually give you what is the ground report. Are voters in Bihar allowed to submit Aadhaar as proof of their citizenship? Now, what we are finding is very interesting. In some areas, Aadhaar is being allowed. In other areas, it's not. How can you have different rules within a state? Shreya Chatterjee has tonight's ground report. Take a look.
वोटर वाला कार्ड है ना, उसी के वेरिफिकेशन में है और ये आए हैं.
The electoral roll revision underway in Bihar has sparked fears of disenfranchisement. India Today has reached the booths in the state for a reality check.
ये लो मोबाइल नंबर, लाइक बूथ नंबर, इसमें एक बार डिटेल दिया हुआ आपको. इसी से पता चल रहा है रानी कुमारी अमन.
In the narrow lanes of Hajipur and Muzaffarpur, booth-level officers are going door to door.
We are here in Bihar right now. The special intensive revision process by the Election Commission of India is currently under its way. Now, there are a lot of fear around this process because the opposition camp suggests this is a backdoor NRC. The marginalized community, largely the migrant community, will be suffered by this. To assess the ground reality, India Today team will be traveling length and breadth of the state of Bihar.
Armed with voter registers and mobile apps, the first priority ensuring people submit the enumeration forms. BLOs say the message is clear. Submit the form first, documents can follow later.
नहीं, अभी फ़िलहाल यही हुआ है कि हम लोग फॉर्म को इसमें बताया गया है हम लोगों की जन्म तिथि, मोबाइल नंबर और सिग्नेचर करा करके फ़िलहाल दे देने के लिए कि मतलब ये इसका लिस्ट तैयार हो जाए, वोटर लिस्ट, कोई वोटर मतदाता छूटे नहीं.
डॉक्यूमेंट ना भी हो तो अभी बस दे दो.
हाँ, अभी दे देना है. वोटर लिस्ट इसका मतलब हो जाएगा ना अपलोडिंग, उसके बाद हम लोग को ऑर्डर आएगा तो हम इनसे डॉक्यूमेंट.
ये कब आया था?
ये 2-3 दिन पहले हम लोग.
कौन सी है? आधार कार्ड का फोटोकॉपी है.
Interestingly, there has been no uniformity on Aadhaar use. In some cases, Aadhaar numbers were accepted.
ये मेरे परिवार का है. इसमें अभी केवल जन्मतिथि और मोबाइल नंबर मांग रहे हैं, क्योंकि हम लोगों का पहले से नाम है, यहाँ मकान भी है, और तो इसमें कुछ नहीं मांग रहे.
But in others, Aadhaar was not taken.
अगर डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं है तो आप आधार नंबर लेके भर तो दे रहे हैं ना.
हाँ. ऐसे इसमें है, चढ़ाने के लिए भी कंपलसरी नहीं है अभी।
लेकिन क्योंकि कई जगह लोगों को दिक्कत हो रही है।
हाँ हाँ, तो जैसे जिनका अवेलेबल है तो हम डाल दे रहे हैं।
The Supreme Court on Thursday asked the Election Commission if Aadhaar, ration card and voter ID card can be accepted. Will the EC do a rethink now? Bureau Report, India Today.